All right, let's jump right in and talk about this incredible idea of being locked in. We're going to unpack a whole philosophy of action here, one that can seriously change everything, from how you work to how you live your life. And it all kicks off with this one piece of advice that, believe it or not, comes from the world of golf. Now, on the surface, that sounds pretty simple, right? But just let that sink in for a second. Refuse to hit a shot until your mind is fully committed. It's not about waiting for the perfect weather or the perfect opportunity. It's about waiting until you are perfectly committed. It completely flips the script, you know? It takes the power from out there and puts it right back in here with you. That one little shift, it's the key to a whole new way of looking at things. So what does a golfer's stance have to do with your life? Well, pretty much everything. Because think about it, whether we know it or not, we're all taking shots all day long without ever being fully locked in. We hit send on that email while we're already thinking about what's for lunch. We start a conversation, but we're still scrolling on our phone. We launch a big project, but half our brain is already working on the escape plan if it fails. And all of that, it has a real cost. So let's dig into what that cost actually is. All right, section 1, the uncommitted shot. So what is this thing, this uncommitted shot? It's a habit. And it's one that so many of us have slipped into, maybe without even noticing. It's kind of become our default setting in a world that seems to reward being busy more than it rewards being intentional. And here's the thing that's really wild about this. Every single time we do something without being all in, we're not just, doing a sloppy job. We are actively practicing being half-hearted. We are literally training ourselves, building up the muscle for mediocrity. It's this quiet, sneaky form of self-sabotage. And what we're really sabotaging is our own shot at being great. And that leads us right to this next absolutely crucial point. That half-heartedness we were just talking about, it creates a vacuum. And every single uncommitted action you take is like an open invitation for someone else's agenda, someone else's priorities to rush in and fill that empty space. They end up programming you. You're basically just handing over the keys to your own mind. It's that serious. And this is such a brilliant example of how this plays out in real life, blaming other people. As Tolstoy pointed out, blame is just a reflex. It's what we do to avoid taking responsibility for our own experience. It's the ultimate uncommitted shot. Instead of doing the tough work of figuring out our part in things, we just lobbed a responsibility over to someone else. It's an action, for sure, but one with zero real ownership. So if the problem is all this reactive, uncommitted action, what's the solution? Well, it starts with the exact opposite, a deliberate, conscious pause. This right here, this is where we start to take our power back. You see, this pause, it's not about hesitating or being weak. It's actually the opposite. It's a moment of pure strength. That little gap, that tiny space between an impulse and your action, that's where your freedom lives. It's the space where you stop just reacting to the world and start acting in it. It's where you get to consciously decide, okay, yes, I'm locked in. Now I'm taking the shot. And you can see the immediate payoff of hitting that pause button right here. The second you stop that knee-jerk reaction to blame someone else, you're choosing ownership. And Tolstoy says this brings relief to your soul. He actually compares it to an addict finding sobriety. I mean, wow, that's how profound a single conscious pause can be. Okay, let's get practical. How do we actually do this? It sounds like a total contradiction, right? How can you be 100% committed, but at the same time just be cool with things not being perfect? Let's break this paradox down. So here it is, the paradox right at the heart of this whole thing. On one hand, your commitment, it has to be absolute, 100%, all in. But, and this is the key, it's only a commitment to this action in this moment. Now, on the other hand, your expectations, they need to be low. Not low expectations for your effort, no way. Low expectations for the outcome. Because let's face it, reality is messy. The goal isn't a perfect result. The goal is perfect presence in an imperfect world. And I just love this quote because it really gets to the feeling of what being locked in is all about. It's not this grim, teeth-gritting, white-knuckle determination. It's a joyful, deep absorption in what you're doing. It's about being so present, so engaged, that you're not even worried about how you look to other people. You're just in it.
And check this out. This mindset gives you a legitimate superpower. When you're locked in on growth, not on your appearance, feedback completely changes. It's no longer a threat to your ego. Praise, that's just useful data that confirms you're on the right track. Critique, that's just useful data that helps you sharpen your skills. Neither one can throw you off your game, because your real target is growth itself.
Okay, so we've established we need to be committed. But committed to what exactly? Well, probably the wisest answer to that question is to commit our energy to creating something, not to fighting something. This quote from Socrates is such a game changer. It's a massive shift in perspective. Think about it. When you're fighting against something, you're still letting that thing set the agenda. Your focus is still totally on the problem. But real committed action, it's creative. It's about building the solution. It's about creating the future that you actually want to live in. But here's the thing about building the new. It almost never happens alone. Our culture is obsessed with this myth of the lone genius, right? But true committed building understands a much deeper truth. The legendary basketball coach John Wooden put it perfectly. He said that to achieve any real goal, it takes 10 hands to make a basket. 10 hands. See, no truly committed action ever happens in a vacuum. It's always a team sport, always collaborative. It's built on the work of others, even when we can't see all the hands that help shape our opportunity. And understanding that, that's a huge part of being locked in. And this is a perfect real-world example of what that committed building looks like. The neuroscientist V.S. Ramachandran didn't just sit back and admire his hero from afar. Nope, he took a series of small but fully committed shots. First, reading the book. That was a committed action. Then, going to the lecture. Another one. And then, the big one, introducing himself after the talk. Each one of those steps, taken with total intention, built the foundation for a mentorship that would literally change his life.
So as we bring this all together, it's clear this isn't just some productivity hack, it's a whole philosophy. It's about how we choose to approach our entire lives, one moment at a time. So let's look at the core principles of what it means to live this way.
You know, this whole philosophy kind of reminds me of that old parable about the two wolves fighting inside of us. The one we feed is the one that wins. Well, the locked-in ethos is basically a recipe for how to feed the good wolf. You feed it by acting from a place of having enough, not a place of scarcity. You feed it by being less of a critic and more of a participant, less impressed, more involved. You use joy as your compass, knowing that it's a measure of your presence. And crucially, you feed it by having the wisdom to know when the most committed action you can take is to do nothing at all.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Work for a cause, not for applause. When you are truly locked in, your whole motivation shifts. It moves away from needing that external validation, that applause, and toward an internal conviction, a cause. You stop performing for an audience, and you start expressing who you truly are. Your actions become a reflection of your deepest values, not just a plea for someone to like you. And so we land here, with the only question that really matters in the end. Because this isn't just some interesting theory, it's a direct challenge to you. I want you to look at your own life right now. What's the one shot, big or small, that's just waiting for you to get fully, completely locked in and committed to it? And maybe just as important, what's the half-hearted, uncommitted shot that you finally need to find the courage to just walk away from? The answer to those questions, well, that's where your real work begins.